Hey chat, how's it going? Happy Thursday. We're here, and almost everyone who was supposed to be here and be part of the stream is here. Av, thank you for being on top of it. Please refrain from advertising. We are not having a guest today. Lines got crossed. There was an oopsie doopsie. Today's stream is just going to be me and Eric, and we're going to be playing Super Battle Golf. Indeed. If you've never been here on a Thursday before, this is a Real Good AI stream. If you don't know what Real Good AI is a 501c3 nonprofit. The mission of Real Good is to save all of you, all of us, from the shitty AI that's flooding the world right now. Because of choices being made by corporations and organizations that we have no real control over, it's sort of everywhere. AI is sort of infiltrating everything. I'm sure you have your own experience with it and you have your own thoughts and feelings about it. But our point is that currently AI is a mysterious black box that does some kind of magic and gives you some kind of output. We think that it's possible for AI to not be a mysterious black box. We think that it's possible to have AI that is gives you outputs that are interpretable, that will tell you how confident they are, that will have a similar kind of output and a similar kind of utility, but you'll be able to look and be like, well, where is it getting that fact from? Or how sure is it that that's true, whatever it's telling me? And if it says, oh, I'm 20% sure, then you have that context as opposed to current tools that will give you something and everything is equally confident. Everything is equally as true in the eyes of the AI tool because it doesn't know. Doesn't know how sure it should be. It just is 100% confident of every single thing it says. Anyway. It's true. So if you've never been here, that's what we do on Thursdays. This is a Real Good stream. It was going to be a guest stream, but there was a miscommunication somewhere, and it's all good. Eric and I are going to hang out. If you don't know Eric, this is Dr. Eric, the other voice that's here with me. He's a staff researcher for Real Good. He's a smart person and much better at video games than I am. So you're quiet. That's interesting. Where is this outputting per se? Try again. Is he still quiet? Better? Okay. That's my bad. Anyway, yeah. That's Real Good. Specifically this month, chat, have you checked out the Real Rating System? Have you checked out the Get Real campaign on our website? Have you any of that stuff? If you don't know what the Real Rating is, obviously, Real Good AI invented it. It is reported engagement with AI. Oh no. How do I always forget the L? Level. God damn, literally every time I say it, I'm like, this time I'll remember level, and then I get to the L. And reported engagement with AI level. It's a rating. It's right down here on my stream. You see right there. It's a rating that indicates to consumers of whatever it is, to what extent AI was used in the production of that thing. Obviously, it works for video content like this. Could work for written content in the form of news articles or academic papers or social media posts. Could work on anything that you can affix a rating label to. You could assess how much AI you did or did not use and use the Real Rating System to accurately convey to whoever's going to be reading, watching, listening, whatever, consuming that thing that you were putting out there, exactly what they're experiencing, exactly how much AI went into the production of that thing. It's a great system. And this month we're doing a campaign called Get Real, where we're trying to get 1,000 letters, digital letters, but letters, emails, DMs on Twitter, whatever, sent to whoever you think might use it. If you have a professor from college you think might want to use this in their classroom, if you have a manager who has a lot of AI tools being hoisted upon them by, the higher up executives, you think they might want to use something like this amongst their team or amongst their business, if you have creative friends who might want to use something like this on their works, on their creations, whatever they make, we're just asking everyone to go to realgoodai.org/getreal. There are some templates of letters, so you don't even have to do any hard work. You can take the template, you can fill in the appropriate info, you can fill in your name, their name, you could personalize it a little bit if you want, you could personalize the language if it's a specific application that is kind of more niche. But we have several different templates geared towards different types of recipients, and every time you send one, you can go back to that website and you can click the special button. We don't abuse the button. We save the special button for when we do the good thing. So if you do the good thing, click the fun button. But otherwise, no clicky. It's a cool campaign. I gotta be super honest. I've only clicked it once, but I have in my head I have more than I am intending. I'm a bad influence, chat. Don't do what I say. No wait. Don't do what I do. Do what I say. Yeah, Noah only clicked the fun button when they did the fun thing. See, that's the rule. Oh, and you clicked it 5 times. That's good. That's 5 good things. Anyway, shall we play video games? Do you want to see Eric's face? Because he's here, chat. Look, it's him. I know. He's been. Could you hear how engaged he was in this tone of his voice? You could hear how engaged he was. Anyway, you ever seen this game, chat? Oh, it's called Super Battle Golf. I don't know where my ball went. Oh, there it is. Is there a sprint? Can't hear. Eddie just texted. Can't hear Eric. That's interesting. The audience mix. I don't know, man. The audience mix is there. You talk. No. Device.
Because I changed around the inputs for that because I don't
right.
have your fancy mixer.
Can you hear Eric now, chat? Is it working?
Woohoo, woohoo. You know the lyrics to my favorite song, Song 2 from Blur. Woohoo. Woohoo. Hello,
okay.
chat.
That was just a Windows update situation. Sorry, chat.
Cool.
Could you not hear him that whole
Love
time?
It,
But the game audio just got turned on. All right, let's not conflate things. That's just how his camera looks. Sorry, Mandy. Mandy's complaining that your face is cut off at the bottom. Don't slouch.
I do that.
Don't slouch, Eric. Oh my god.
Don't hit my entire setup.
And the whole desk explodes.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Also, because I'm zoomed way in, because there's things on either side.
It is allowed to be
things. Part of
things.
the shot.
The chair breaks and he starts sinking. Almost definitely. Yes. So, get real. Something, get real.
Yep. Spread the good word of the real rating. Press the button when you tell somebody about it. I've told 5 people already. You guys should also help us out on that. We might be at 200 if we're not. Where we're at 199 if we're not already at 200. I haven't checked it recently. Let me double check it to confirm what number we're at.
Oops.
You smacking a man over there?
A little bit.
Yep, we're at a flat 200. So we're a fifth of the way to our goal. So if you guys have people that you think should know about the real rating, people that you think would do well to use it in their own stuff, go ahead and send them that email. We have templates online that you can use and adapt it for your own purposes. And go ahead and send an email and let people know about the real rating. Trying to get this thing out there.
Hello.
Hello? Is that Brian?
Hi. It is Brian.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
It's good. How are you? I just saw an email from Bob, which was like, "Hey, where are you?" And I was like, "I think there might have been a time miscommunication." So I wanted to call in.
I was afraid that might have been the case. Sorry about that.
All good. Am I live on the air right now?
You are.
You are, yes.
Well, hi everybody.
I'm sure this is exactly where you intended and hoped you would be when you got on to talk to us. But are you just stopping in to say hello? Or are you able to talk for a bit?
I could talk for a bit. Yeah, I feel terrible that I'm late to the stream, but as soon as I saw the email, I was like, uh-oh. So you were actually live with me and my daughter Audrey.
Hello.
At the moment.
Oh, hi, Audrey.
Hey, Audrey.
So hi guys, I'm sorry I'm late.
All good, no worries. Well, anyway, chat, we did the whole spiel about the Get Real stuff. As planned, Brian is here now. So if you don't know this person, you don't immediately recognize this voice, we can't be friends. But also, just to fill you in, this is Brian Wecht. You may know him more commonly as Ninja Brian from the band Ninja Sex Party, or
And if
you may
don't
know
his
him.
voice, you definitely know his middle finger.
My most distinctive feature.
Uh-huh.
It's iconic, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining. I think a lot of people here, if not every single one, will know your comedic works and hopefully your music as well in general, because he does his own music as well as a favorite children's album. Well, multiple albums. A favorite children's group, Go Banana Go. But you had a bit of a journey before you got to where you are now, including studying physics. So,
Yes.
do you want to talk about where you thought you would be today? I don't know. What was it? 15 years ago? Whatever that path
Yeah.
diverged.
So I left academics in 2015. So yeah, 11-ish years ago. I mean, I thought I would be, I don't know, let's see what it's June. Probably right now I'd be administering a final exam in some university. Yes, that was, had I stayed the course 10 years ago, I'd probably still be, my faculty job was in London at Queen Mary University of London as a standard academic research teaching kind of stuff. And I figured I would be there, but music and comedy and YouTube, was too tempting.
Remind me, what was the topic of your research when you were working over there?
So I was doing theoretical particle physics with a
Okay.
specific focus on string theory and something called supersymmetry, which it's slightly hard to explain, but it's basically mathematical physics, essentially. So I was doing a specific thing. It was kind of an interesting time because there was this detector, the Large Hadron Collider, the LHC, which was on at that point and getting revoked. And people thought this thing called supersymmetry predicts a whole bunch of new particles, and people were optimistic that it might find something that hinted towards that, and that was not the case. And it was only kind of a long shot, but it would have been amazing if it happened, and it didn't happen. So I was leaving academic at pretty much a time when the LHC had found the particle we were 99% sure was there, the Higgs boson, and then nothing else interesting. And that has continued to be the case. So particle physics is a very weird place right now, and is, there's a lot of great research going on, but the field overall hasn't really boomed in the last 10 years, I think.
Mm-hmm. So you were a subscriber to the whole there's 10 dimensions belief system and stuff like that?
Well, I wouldn't say that exactly. I mean, for string theory to be consistent, there need to be 9 plus 1, that means 9 space and 1 time dimensions. If you were asking me to put money on, do I think that's actually the case? I would bet probably not. But, I think the string theory solves a hard problem, which is coming up with the quantum theory of gravity. And you might immediately say, okay, well, if that requires 9 space dimensions, then just toss it because it's obviously wrong. There's interesting ways around it, like what if those extra dimensions are very small and curled up and stuff like that, which yields all kinds of cool math and physics and stuff. So it's 1,000,000% worth exploring. I think even in the heyday of string theory, had you asked me, do I think that's actually the way the universe works, I would have been agnostic at best.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of the best way to be a scientist, those people who are like, oh, I know exactly what's going on, and everybody else is an idiot. Those are kind of the worst people to work with in academia.
100%.
But speaking on that, did you like academia? Obviously you thought that was going to be your career for a long time, but what?
I loved it. I mean, to be honest, it was a very much a dream job. I'd worked, I don't know, depending on how you count, from the start of undergraduate, 20-something years to land a professor job. And the positives are you get to think about cool stuff. You get to hang out with smart, interesting people. You get to travel around the world and talk to cool people from lots of different countries and backgrounds. And it's just it's kind of an intellectual paradise. You just get to, especially theoretical physics. I didn't need complicated computer stuff. I just needed a laptop and a pen and paper, and that was it. And so I would just travel around and give talks and talk to people. And then when I was a professor, I, teach graduate and undergraduate classes, and that's really fun. Teaching rules, because you get to do a deep dive into a thing that you thought you understood, but then realized you actually didn't know it all. I taught something called statistical mechanics for a few years.
I've had to teach stat mech. It's a bear.
I love it, but it's so great. You can kind of start from first principles and just do it. It's awesome. So, yeah, I mean, that was the positives. The negatives are, it's hard to engender a lot of sympathy for this, but for a while there's extreme job uncertainty. It's really, really hard to get a job, right? When I was thinking about going to grad school, I got the best advice ever, and I tell this to everybody who is thinking about maybe trying to get a PhD. An undergraduate professor of mine, I was a math and music major as an undergraduate, so I wasn't physics at all. But an undergraduate professor of mine said that the reason to go to grad school is not because you think you're going to be a professor, because those jobs are basically impossible to get. There's no guarantee. Don't do it because you want to be a professor. Do it because you want to learn more stuff. And then he went on to say that you'll apply to grad school. maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't. If you do, that's great. If you want to go on an academic, after grad school, you'll apply for a postdoc. They're common in the sciences. Maybe you'll get a postdoc, maybe you won't. You have to have the attitude that if you don't, it's amazing because you learned more, but in my case, physics. Great, you learn more physics, amazing. But after a first postdoc, at least in my field, people did a second postdoc. These were 3-year positions each. Maybe you'll get a if you don't, that's a bummer, but also, guess what? You got to spend more time thinking about physics. Isn't that great? And my attitude every step along the way was, I hope I get the next, move up the academic ladder. But it was still worth it because I got to think about physics for a while longer. And then I was lucky enough that I did notable research and got a faculty job and all that. It could not have worked out better for me. But every step along the way, I was like, well, it's probably. And then, of course, at the last minute, 2 years into my permanent faculty job, I quit to be in the ninja battle. So, it worked out in a different way. But that job uncertainty is very stressful because also you look around. In my case, I really enjoyed physics and I enjoyed doing everything, but I wasn't driven to do it 24 hours a day like some people.
Yeah.
And when you're doing it and you're like in it, and you look around at all these amazing, brilliant people, all of whom I thought were smarter than I was and better at physics, I was like, well, what chance do I have against these folks? Like, no way. I wouldn't hire me over them ever. And then I got, basically found a place where I was a good fit and got lucky and got the job and everything. But I was never optimistic about my chances, like, in academics. So yeah, I'd say that's the biggest negative. Also, it pays pretty bad. So we were in London. We had a baby, and this baby is just turned 12, right? 3 weeks ago. Yeah, now sitting next to his father.
Wow.
And so when you're like, in a very expensive city, and luckily my wife Rachel was working, so we were totally fine. But especially in the UK, academics is not a high-paying job. So you put all this time into grad school and postdocs and all this stuff, and then you end up making, I think the starting salary of my job was like $50,000 a year, which in London does not go very far.
Yeah.
So, and that's of course in pounds, whatever. But so that's the joke among my peers in theory as grad students were, if you're not lucky enough to get an academic job, you'll get hired by some investment bank and make, $400,000 a year or something like that. So a lot of people at that time who weren't going into academics were finance and going to these amazingly high-paying things. But it was stuff I personally never had any interest in doing.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, you get a lot of money, but it's interesting and it also feels somewhat evil. So I never wanted to go that route at all. I'm trying to think of other negatives. Hiring is kind of fad-driven to some extent, and like in years my field was popular, and then other years it was less popular, and you're kind of at the mercy of what people are interested in hiring at any particular time. And I also had the misfortune of looking for a faculty job during the 2008 financial crisis, which was rough. But I don't know, that's what can you do about that? World events, so on. But yeah, I don't know if that's a decent answer to the question or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm finding a lot of what you're saying totally relatable. I was on pretty much the exact same track that you were on, except for I was doing computational biology rather than physics. That I did music and biochemistry in undergrad, and did my PhD in computational biology lab, a lab that the field of which got a Nobel Prize in 2024.
Yep, that's right.
For
AlphaFold, right?
Yeah, that we were the lab who was on top before AlphaFold hit the market. And I actually got to speak in front of John Jumper and David Baker, those Nobel laureates, to present our lab's work at the conference where they presented all this stuff. And then
what a crazy thing! Like I think about this all the time. When I was in grad school, I started in '98 and then graduated 2004, and I was at UCSD, which had a big what we would now call systems bio group doing protein folding and all that stuff, and neural nets and things like that. And so much of that work is now just subsumed under AlphaFold stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
And I don't want to. I'm curious, actually, what you think. Like, it was, obviously a lot built on that, but I wonder if the people who were working on that for so many years now are like, okay,
Yeah, I
or
mean,
does it
the
feel
kind
like
of
it was useful work?
attitude was that, oh my god, this neural network technology is solving our problem, so everybody's got to shift course to start using AI and everything, throw out some of the more statistical biophysics stuff and instead replace it all with neural networks. And sometimes that worked, sometimes that didn't, and a lot of people sort of held this gold standard in their brain of just, we got to put the physics back into it, right? Like, the reason why the model isn't working all the time is because physics isn't there, so we got to put physics back into it. And that I sort of had middling opinions on, because physics is great as a Bayesian prior in my mind, right? Like, when you don't have data that actually describes the problem, physics models will do its job. But if you do have data, you should be following what the data says and not what physics hypothesizes should be happening.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's what's the problem you're trying to solve, really, is the question, right? It's
exactly.
If it seems like the tool is just totally ineffective, then okay, maybe reevaluate. If it's effective 90 or whatever % of the time, and then you're worried about that extra 10%, yeah, I guess you could argue about whether that's, I don't think you can argue about whether that's useful. I think you can argue about whether figuring out that remaining 10% is worth the time or not.
Mm-hmm. And also what happened is that the goalposts moved, right? That no longer it was like, oh, let's get the structure. It was now, okay, now how does the structure move? And people were like, and that's where physics can come in. So people sort of just changed what problem they were working on to fit the skill set that they had developed. But anyway, let's stop going so deep into science and losing the audience. I'd love to talk science with you after if you have the time to, but let's instead talk about, so that's where you were at in academia, where you were in love with your position, you were sort of at a dream job.
And by the way, I had great colleagues, like, a little university politics, and as there always is, but I was not like in academic political hell or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I had great colleagues, everyone got along. It really was like kind of the best possible position.
Yeah. And just that political hell I feel because I was looking for professorial positions when the last president got elected and sort of waged war on biomedical funding. So that was fun. But anyway, so you were in that position and you were super happy with it. And instead, you decided you wanted to join a comedy music band in America and leave that all behind. So what was your thought process there? What was going through your head when you decided to make that decision?
Well, so at that point, the band Ninja Sex Party we'd started that with Dan and I in 2009. And early, Dan at the time, as he's talked about, was like, I mean, he barely had a job. Like, he was working at a comic book store that he got fired from because his boss wanted to to a girl he hired then after basically fired Dan Ball, or a girl, because he wanted to hit on her. And so Dan was like severely underemployed, had nothing to really, like being a musician or comedian was like his whole goal. And we started this band, and I told him, because he's like, this is it. The NSP is like, what I hope is my ticket to a career. And I said, look, dude, if it gets to a point, I have this whole academic track, but if this becomes a viable career, I will quit my job and do this full time. And I meant it. I realized that the criteria for making that doable was pretty hard bar to meet, but I meant it. And then so we, NSP, we started making videos and we put them on YouTube, and there's a whole series of increasingly improbable events that happen here. But eventually, Dan joins to the post, and brother, I mean, like we were doing stuff.
You.
People
Sorry,
watching.
Brian, you're breaking up a little bit.
Hold on. All right, is that better?
Much better.
Yeah. Check. Oh, hold on. You know what, guys? Actually, I home a real computer with real engine.
Okay.
Oops.
This is a really tight golf match. I'm sure that's what everyone in chat is focused on, but...
Have you thought about doing IRL golf content, Bob? I'd
I
like
have.
to play IRL golf.
Yeah. That'd be fun. Imagine having time to play golf.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, chat. Did you all know Ninja Sex Party? Are you all familiar? If you're not, you should check out their works. Their many works and discography.
Or Starbomb, or Trey Magnifique.
Or if you're interested, Tupperware Remix Party.
Mm-hmm.
It's also they have collaborated a lot with NSP, and their music is awesome. They still do make music. Danny and Brian.
They do.
Was it Under the Covers 2 or 3?
I think it was 4, wasn't it?
Is it 4? Oh man, it feels like in my head I'm like, oh yeah, Under the Covers just came out. That's a new thing they're doing. No, they have albums where they're doing like covers of. Why did I just get a penalty stroke?
Usually Out of Bounds.
That's that song from the Out of Time movie. Oh, biscuits! I'm bad at golf.
Don't need money, don't need fame, don't need a credit card to ride this train. That one.
From that Michael J. Fox film. We all know it.
What? No, that's not Footloose, is it?
No,
Ferris
it's
Bueller? Is that Michael J. Fox?
No, that's it's the Back to the Future is the one I'm speaking about. Who's Ferris Bueller?
Movie?
It is, isn't it? Or is that Back to the Future? Yeah, that's Back to the. That's like the opening sequence when he's like on a skateboard and stuff, isn't that?
Sure.
Chat? Am I crazy?
Couldn't tell you.
I might be crazy. I might be just absolutely fabricating things. I thought I got my putter out. That is about to go to space. Oh my god, I surrender.
I don't even need to use my air horn, apparently.
Don't. Please don't.
Come on, ball. There we go. But no, and they're going on tour with Starbomb soon. I think this summer they're doing a tour. I don't know whether it's international. It might just be a national tour. And Huey Lewis and the News. That's who did it.
That's the one.
Oh, written for the soundtrack.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I knew that. That's what I was saying.
Sure.
Totally do that. Totally do that.
Who won? I didn't even see.
You wiped my...
Squeaked it out.
Well, that last one I sort of sold pretty good, but you won pretty handily there. Bob knew because Bob knows. It's true. I do know. And that is why I knew.
You can tell because of the way that he is.
It's a fact. A scientific fact. Because Eric's here. He does science.
So we could plug this again. We've got the Get Real campaign going on right now. If you guys are familiar with the Real Rating, it's a disclosure system to let people know how much AI you're using in whatever product you're making or whatever tool you're creating or whatever situation you want. Bob's about to get annihilated. And we are wanting to get people in the know about this system. And so if you have anybody that you think would really like to have that system in their life, whether they're an artist, whether they're a teacher, whether they're a higher executive at a company and they want to create policy about usage of AI, we are wanting people to know more about this. So we have some templates on our website at realgoodai/getreal, realgoodai.org/getreal, where we've got a few templates and we're asking people to send people in their lives emails about this thing. And if you send an email, we've got a button on there that you can click that will count what email you sent. I myself have clicked that button 5 times so far and plan on doing some more. And I've already gotten some bites just off of the 5 that I've sent. So I'm scheduling a meeting with someone. Another old advisor of mine said that they're going to be using it in their class. And so we've got some success stories brewing, and we're hoping that you guys will also have some success stories of your own in spreading the Real Rating. So go ahead and send those emails and click that button. And we're aiming to get to 1,000 emails, and we're currently at 200. So please join us in that campaign. We'll be doing that all through June. We've got a stream next week that pertains to the Real Rating. I've put together a Jeopardy game that will test people on their knowledge of the Real Rating, as well as just having a little bit of fun with it, because one can only talk so much about the Real Rating. But yeah, we're looking forward to.
I'm back.
Oh, high definition. Brian is here.
Yeah, now I have a camera on.
Eric, can we pause the video games for a moment?
I hit the pause button.
I don't know if that actually does
pauses it
anything,
for everyone.
but let me recreate this real quick here.
I got a penalty stroke anyway, so
Going well. Anyway, welcome to your setup, Brian. And in just a moment, welcome to the stream, maybe OBS.
There we are.
Oh yeah, that's a nice office.
Thanks. Got the double keyboard action.
I have way too much stuff for me. Okay,
There we are.
perfect.
Yeah, thank you guys again for bearing with me, and I'm sorry for being so late.
No, you're good.
Yeah, no worries.
I was afraid that was a time zones are always complicated, and I know you've been traveling.
I've been
sure
traveling.
that-
Yes,
That helps confuse everything when you're
and
around
I
the world.
planned my whole day around 2 p.m. Pacific, and then got your email, and I was like, "Oh no, uh-oh." So, I'm glad you sent me that.
Oh,
email,
you're playing,
because
Bob.
Otherwise, I just would have been
I just started playing. It's fun.
oblivious. So yeah, thank you for bearing with me, and I'm sorry for the mix-up.
No, you're so good. Thanks for joining us.
So, do you want me to keep going with what I was talking about, or should we,
Well, so you were
happy to do whatever
talking
you want.
about the point at which you decided to do NSP, that things were starting to pop off with the band, right?
Yep, things were popping off with the band, and then basically what happened, I forget where exactly it got cut off, but we're, bopping along and making videos, and I think, have somewhere around 40K subscribers on the YouTube channel, which is nothing to sneeze at, but not at a level where you can turn it into a career. And then Dan joins Game Grumps, and suddenly it's like, oh my god, wait, what? And a channel which had 1 million subscribers when he got on it, and then suddenly it's like, wait a minute, this is a different animal now. And suddenly people really started paying attention to the band, and long story short, about a year after that, Aaron Hansen, Dan's co-host of Grumps, calls me. He's like, all right, dude, I know, you've been wanting to make this happen, and we can hire you to run social media on Grumps as like a stepping stone for, getting back to the States from the UK. And at the time I had a new baby, and, that baby, as I said, who's 12 now, and I was just driving around. But I had Rachel, obviously, whose blessing and desire to do this was just as important as my own. And had to, be like, all right, do we really want to do this? Do I want to give up this academic career I worked so hard for, to hope that a career in YouTube /music /comedy works out? At the time, NSP was, I don't think we'd ever actually made any money selling music. Like, really, it was, we were in the red for sure. And it was very much a like, well, this seems like it's moving in a good direction, but is this a risk worth taking? And I talked it over with Rachel, I talked it over with Aaron and Dan, and in my own mind, I was like, look, there was a complicating factor here too, which was this is the year I turned 40, and on paper, quitting a tenured job to dress up like a ninja feels like a midlife crisis. And I was like, okay, let me make sure this isn't a midlife crisis, and that this is actually a smart decision, not me just talking myself into, some motivated reasoning thing, which would have been very easy to do. So I talked it over with trusted friends, and everyone's like, no, this actually seems like a reasonable thing. And I told myself, I was like, look, if I don't do this, this will, for the rest of my life, be the one that got away. I will regret this forever. So I would rather try it and have it fail than never have tried it. And I negotiated a year's leave with my university. Again, tactical mistake. I quit. I had this like moral thing where I was like, the moment I know I'm going to do it, I got to tell them. Well, that was April 1st. And and everyone's like, yeah, right. Yeah, sure. I was like, no. I'm dressing up like a ninja. It's this whole thing, video games on YouTube. And some older colleagues this is, 2015. And by that point, of course, a YouTube channel is a well-defined thing. Like, YouTube's been around for 10-ish years, and, it's like a thing. But my older colleagues were like, what's a YouTube channel? And, people in the, 60s or something. Whereas everybody my age was like, oh, that sounds fun. Cool. Because, again, theoretical physicists are, smart, interesting people, generally speaking, and people leave academics all the time to do other interesting stuff. And also everyone realized, you got a life. Sometimes just I wanted to make more money is a valid reason. That's not why I was doing this. But sometimes people left academics because they're like, I got to earn more than this. I have a family now. and everyone realizes that you get the reasons for doing stuff. But my colleagues were like, "Oh, that sounds cool. It sounds fun. Sounds interesting. Sounds fucking weird." Sorry, can I swear on this?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I, with Rachel's blessing, accepted Aaron's offer of a job, and that was April. And by July, in fact, it was July 1st was the day we flew back to the States. And my university had told me, look, we have a grant with your name on it. We'll give you a year's leave. But if you know sooner, just tell us. If you know you're not coming back or are coming back sooner than a year, just tell us, because it looks bad for us to be applying for grants with your name on it when everyone knows you're dressing up like a ninja in America. And I think it was less than 3 weeks after we moved back to the States, we put out the first NSP album since Dan had joined Game Grumps, our album Attitude City, and people actually bought it, and I was like, okay, this is real. So I quit right away. And I was like, all right, I'm not coming back. I didn't want to move my stuff back across the ocean. But I was like, this is who knows how long this has, but at least it's not going to be an immediate flame out after a year. And so I told my university, I was like, that's it. I'm over here now. And, thank you so much. So that was, the reason was just, it seemed really fun and interesting and scary in a good way. And I knew, as I said, I knew I would regret it if I didn't try it. And, here we are now 11-ish years later, almost 11 years to the day in a couple of weeks. And to say it worked out is an understatement. Like, it not only worked out, it worked out better than I could have ever possibly hoped. We're a touring band. We're still have people listening to our stuff. Game Grumps is still going strong. Like, I've got a bunch, as you mentioned, kid band and all sorts of other projects. It's a dream come true in so many ways.
I can't believe you're not going to throw Trey Magnifique out there. That's one of your
I have my
successful projects.
my smooth jazz guy, Trey Magnifique. Actually, I have a gig tonight. Tonight I'm playing the Troubadour in LA. I'm opening for. Do you guys ever watch Ted Lasso?
Yeah.
That? So Brendan Hunt, Coach Beard on Ted Lasso, has a band he's been doing for it's like 25 years or something called Elvis Prestello, where he dresses like Elvis Presley, but they only do Elvis Costello songs. And I opened for them a couple years ago as Trey. It's like just me and a sax, and I do some originals and some covers. And they asked me to come back, so I'm playing the Troubadour opening for them tonight as Trey Magnifique.
That's really fun.
But it's really fun. But yeah, so like it's still happening, and every day. I mean, maybe you guys feel like this to some extent. Every day, I feel like, well, the bottom's gonna fall out any day. Like this is it.
Yeah.
Career. If I'm lucky, I get another 2 months at this, and then have to figure out how to feed my family. But so far, it still keeps going on, and it's still fun. Like, NSP, we just got off a European tour. We have a tour with Starbomb, the rap group with Aaron, that just does video game comedy stuff. They just announced that a couple weeks ago, doing that in the fall for the first time ever. Like, new, interesting stuff keeps happening. And it's... I mean, to say I feel lucky is, again, like the understatement of the millennium. I don't know how this is happening. Ever. But, the goal is to just work hard and keep having fun and try new stuff. And, some of it'll work and some of it won't.
And so what advice would you give to someone who's trying to make sort of a similar large career shift, right? Like you went basically as opposite as you could, right?
Yeah,
From
that's right.
From high academy theoretical physics to boner jokes and middle fingers in a comedy music band. Like,
yeah. The only advice, let's see. I do get asked this question, and you'd think I'd have a better answer to it. There's an old improv principle called follow the fear. And I think that's generally good life advice. So I generally advise people to do things that are scary but not insane. So if you're thinking about a career change, which seems risky but not like nuts, try it. Obviously, a lot depends on context. You know, there's no way to give this advice generically, but I have found when facing decisions big and small, if I have two options and one seems scarier than the other, but not like jump off a high building kind of scare, like not completely nuts, it's usually the right choice. So if you're contemplating a career change, if your heart's not in it, don't really do it, because then it probably isn't for you. But if you're like, I really want to do this and it seems scary and I'm kind of scared too, but I think it's the right move, always do it. And it might work out, it might not. There's no guarantees in life, but you'll almost always not regret having done it. As far as the mechanics of it, I mean, geez, I don't know. Like, I was very lucky to have a supportive partner in Rachel. And that, helps tremendously. She was on board for pretty much anything, and I talk everything over with her. And it was a big, I don't want to understate how big a sacrifice this was for her as well. Like, she had a job in London, I was the one who had a job in LA, and I had friends out here with people in Grumps and various comedy people I had met over the years. And she was moving into a place where she really didn't know many people and didn't have a job, and people she was just coming into. So it was very disruptive for her. And I don't want to understate what a big shift and sacrifice this was for her to be like, yes, let's do this. Because it took her a while to find her footing in LA. Now she has a great job and friends and everything, and it all worked out. But it's like, she really, this was not an easy transition for her. So if you're, with a partner, having a supportive partner is also really, really crucial to these big life changes. And also, I think the younger you are, the easier it is to do. Like, I made my big shift when I was 40. If you're in your 20s, just go for it. Like, I don't see any reason to not just try it out. Be a musician for a while or whatever. You got plenty of time. So I think big shifts, of course, are easier the younger you are. Trying to think, do I have any other specific? I think that's pretty much about it. Yeah. But, okay, I'll say something else too. Be nice to people. It like, if you're trying to break into a field or something, it never hurts just to be cool, just to be nice to people, be kind, be aware of other people's feelings. Especially if you're trying to, meet people in a thing like music. Hey, I knew how to make music. I didn't really know any professional musicians. I think not too many. And now I have a whole, group of friends who are musicians and comics and stuff. And largely I met those people by trying stuff out, saying yes to things, and just trying to be generally a kind, thoughtful person. So, being the type of person someone wants to work with goes a long way. And I think it's definitely possible to do that without betraying any like core principles. You shouldn't do stuff that makes you feel uncomfortable and awful, but just like be nice to people.
Yeah. And so you brought up that improv concept of follow your fear. What's an example of you following that fear and it either super did or super did not work out?
The super did is, of course, the leaving academics. I'm trying to think of other examples. I mean, honestly, it's all just like little projects here and there. I have to say, doing my solo jazz guy was scary because it's just me, and then suddenly I don't have collaborators. It's literally, I mean, I have people I work with, Commander Miach from Twerp, producing my albums, like blah, blah, blah. There's like people I work with, but it's really, if it doesn't work, I can't be like, it's their fault, them, my ass is on the line. So really like going for it with that has been scary, but in a way that I think has worked out so far. It's been really, really fun to do.
And how long have you been playing sax? Like, that's not
Oh, since I was 10, in fourth
so
grade, we
that's-
picked up an instrument, and
okay.
it was like the
What you've been playing? Because I thought you were playing piano from the beginning. How long have you been playing piano then?
then since piano was like since I was 6 years old, so first
Okay.
grade ish, and sax was they give you a recorder, at least in New Jersey they did recorder in third grade, and then in fourth grade you picked in a wind instrument. And one of the best pieces of advice I got from my dad was try the saxophone. I remember originally I was like, I want to do violin, and he was like, you know what, violin's great, but I think you'll be happier with sax because you get to do different, a lot of different types of music. And my main focus in college ended up being jazz composition and arranging, and like that definitely was something that I always loved. So yeah, sax has been for a while. For things that didn't work out, I mean, mostly it's just like jokes that you're like, you do them live and they get nothing.
Yeah, that's
And-
what I'm thinking. Is do you have like
Yeah.
an anecdote of things that bombed that was your favorite that you
Yeah,
look back on and are like, that was so funny?
I'll tell you my favorite bombing joke, which is actually my favorite bombing story, which is pretty recent, actually. So you guys might remember within the past year or so, there was a bunch of controversy because there was a comedy festival in Riyadh.
Yep.
And a bunch of comics, some of whom were pretty vocal, free speech, types, went to Riyadh and had to sign this very long contract being like, I'm not going to disparage the government. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. And got, I think, properly called out for being hypocrites. And it was this whole, capital D discourse in comedy, and then it broke out into the larger culture of should these people have done it? And I think was a discussion absolutely worth having. So I was doing a set as Trey Magnifique, my jazz guy, and at some point I said, "Oh God, sorry, I'm a little disoriented right now. I just got back from the Riyadh Smooth Jazz Festival," and to say it got no reaction would be an understatement. It was just, I mean, there's, I don't know, 100+ people there, and it was complete silence. I mean, like nothing. No one reacted to it at all. And I was like, yeah, and that's actually, I love it when that happens because it's so hard to get zero reaction to something.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, they're confused and or they hate it. It was great. I was very excited about that. But yeah, I was like, I was trying to do like kind of a current events reference thing, and I think people just didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. But that I tried to do that with that. It's when I play those shows, I'm playing jazz. I'll do songs and sax, and sometimes with a little keyboard, and then in the middle I'll do kind of, to say stand-up bits is I'm talking to a mic, but it's not like kind of stand-up jokes. They're like little one-liners and stuff. And I try to switch those up a lot. That one I tried once.
Was it, I mean, was it just too soon following all of that playing out? I'm a little surprised people at a Trey Magnifique show didn't get it and also wouldn't
Maybe
have
they got
thought
it and
that
just hated it.
I would be surprised if that crowd didn't think that was pretty funny, but I guess maybe they were all like, they got paid. What? I don't know what they're so mad about.
Who the hell knows? It's also
don't know.
so I have a monthly show I do with that in Vegas now. And I was at one of those shows, and that's a mix of like people who are there for me and just random people in the casino. So, it's who knows? But I do remember just the stunning level of silence at that particular joke. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other jokes with probably fewer
Well, so-
for NSP, but yeah.
On the topic of bits that you've done, what's an example of a bit that's really small and really niche, but you're super proud of and you wish people appreciated more?
Oh yeah. I mean probably my favorite one is an extended bit that we've been doing since the beginning of Ninja Sex Party, which is I do not blink in any videos. Like if we have cuts where it's me blinking, we will use, or takes where it's me blinking, we will use another take always. And I try to maintain that on stage during concerts too. If I have to blink, I'll look down at the keyboard so that the audience never sees me blink. I'm sure there's examples out there of me blinking in live performance, but my extended thing that I've never really said publicly, although when we're working with animators and animated music videos, I always tell them the rules of Ninja Brian are he never blinks. But this is, it's one of those things we sort of found in doing it, but pretty early on. Maybe not the first couple of years, but after that, I was like, the rule is this guy never blinks, and I'm going to try real hard to never blink. So that's one that I'm really proud of, just because it's so dumb. It's just stupid character choice. Nobody cares. But it's something that makes me happy and is a little challenge to myself. So that one I like a lot.
Well, I'll tell you my favorite Brian Wecht deep cut,
Yeah,
which
please.
is in 2018. You did a live stream with the Game Grumps.
Yeah.
Where you came up with the punishment, is it mayo?
Oh, hey,
And
yeah.
I'm very proud. I'm very happy with that one because it's just so subtle, but yet so psychologically torturous at the same
Yep.
time.
So that
It's
is something
elegant in its simplicity.
I've kept that going, and I do that live as a game show where I bring people up. Oh yeah, I bring people up from the audience, and so the structure of the game. Just to explicate this a little bit, the structure of the game is Mayo. It is a game show that I created. I bring someone up, and I blindfold them, and then I feed them 3 mystery substances. And after each substance, they have to answer a very simple yes or no question, which is it mayo? And that's the game. They have to just, is it mayo? Yes or no? And the audience is not allowed to help them. They're not allowed to react in horror or disgust, no matter what the substance is or how much of it there is. And there might be quite a lot of it. There might be what some people would call a disgusting amount of it. Much, much, much too much of it. But still, the audience has to maintain their composure. And then the person who's been blindfolded and being fed the substance just needs to answer a very simple question. Is it mayo? Yeah, so I'm glad you appreciate that, because I love Is It Mayo. My fantasy is to produce that as an actual game show.
As the only concept, or as one of multiple concepts? Just Is It Mayo? Just by itself?
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
I feel like that would work.
I
feel like I could
can
see that
verify.
working. I could see that would work.
I think
Like on TV, like on broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, it could be the next Price is Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if they can do Deal or No Deal, they can absolutely do Is It Mayo?
Yeah, and look. I mean, the sponsorships, right? Itself, right? I mean, you've got the various brands. I look. Maybe there's a Miracle Whip campaign here. Is it mayo? It's not. Maybe it's better. I don't know. Like, I feel like the advertising kind of writes itself. Yeah, I feel like this is the kind of pitch that if you heard as a studio exec, you'd be like, obviously we're going to do that because it's too good not to do. I mean, there's literally zero downside. So yeah, I'm glad. Thank you, Eric. I'm glad you like that. I'm a big fan of Is It Mayo, and I very recently, so when we're touring with Ninja Sex Party, I will on off nights between NSP shows schedule solo shows, and last year I did, I don't know, 10 or so of these, I guess, and the shows were tripartite. So the first part was Is It Mayo live, so we did Is It Mayo. Second part was the Ninja Brian podcast, where I, in costume as Ninja Brian, hosted a podcast, which was, of course, like masculinity themed. Topics were usually supplements and UFOs. And then I did a set as Trey Magnifique. So you might think it'd be hard to host a podcast as a silent creature, but I found a way. So I've been doing Is It Mail Live a lot these days.
That's impressive. I'm so glad that survived. I definitely have had, I'm trying to think of one because I'm going to say this and then I'm going to have 0 examples, but I feel like I've had bits where I did it the one time and it went great and I was like, God, I love that. Got to keep that alive. It's hard. It's harder than it sounds in my brain to keep something like that going and keep it part of, what you're doing. But
yeah, and the like canonical thing is you try it once and it like crushes, and then you go to do it again and it like flames out as hard as possible, and it's hard to say like, did you do something different? Is the crowd different? Is it like, I don't know, is it just some ineffable thing? Impossible to know, but that's an amazing feeling, truly, when something that worked so well just like dies on the vine, and you get like 2 seconds in and you're like, oh no, oh my god, why? And it's, I don't know, I kind of love that feeling. I think a lot of
You kind of have to be an improv comedy.
yeah, and I mean maybe even to be in comedy in general. I know a lot of comedians hate bombing, but I kind of love it, honestly. I like bothering people.
Well, I'm sure Eric and I could talk your ear off about all the things that you've done that we love or want to ask about, but we are streaming on the Real Good channel, and I know we emailed a little bit before this, and you were like, I don't really use AI for anything, but I am curious because I feel like no matter how staunchly you may avoid it consciously in your creative stuff, or you just sort of, you must run into it. So professionally or otherwise, do you feel like AI is encroaching into your day-to-day or into your professional life, or I don't know, how does it impact you?
Yeah, I mean, I will just say that to say I staunchly avoid it is an understatement. I use it for absolutely nothing ever. I've maybe typed 5 things into an LLM ever, none of them within the past 2 years. Artistically, I don't want anything to do with it. When we hire people to work for Ninja Sex Party or any of our other projects, we have a clause in our contracts which says you are not allowed to use AI for generative AI for this. We want nothing to do with it and very deliberately avoid it. And we're not typing in for NSP like funny song ideas or write lyrics for a song about whatever. Nope, nothing. What we do is we hire real musicians, we hire real artists, we write all the lyrics ourselves. We don't use it literally at all for anything ever, and we don't want to, frankly. So I when we were emailing Bob, I mentioned that it is definitely a thing that I have no interest in using for my creative life, and I want to be careful to only hire people to do this. Now, do I feel it's encroaching? Yeah, like it's people are using Suno and things like this all the time to generate songs, and have I gotten fooled by thinking that something that's AI has been a human-made thing? Absolutely. It's getting easier and easier to get fooled. So I'm not worried about it like replacing us. We're lucky to have a fan base that likes what we do and who we are, and that sort of thing. But absolutely, it's going to be my fear with AI music in particular is, I think a pretty common one, which is not just that it's going to the number of submissions to Spotify or whatever, which we know is up significantly since these tools have been around. Not only does it get overwhelmed by that, but then the algorithm, because it's cheaper for they start making stuff in-house, which they're already doing, and then give preferential algorithmic treatment to stuff that they make. that is the scary thing to me, where human-made stuff starts getting suppressed by a company that is making all its music in-house and then promoting its music. Is that happening already? I don't know about the algorithmic side of things. I would actually be surprised if it wasn't to some extent. I know some of the music streamers take a stand and won't let AI music on there, but I do worry about, basically corporate people coming in being like, we'll just make it and promote it ourselves. So that I'm concerned about. I think for comedy, already people are seeing a big encroachment on the writing side of things. The industry has been in kind of free fall for many years now, kind of post-strike especially. And I shouldn't really talk about comedy writing because it is not my area of expertise, but I definitely know that people are worried that they are being, because they have evidence that this is the case, been replaced by, LLMs writing scripts and stuff. So I absolutely see that encroaching on people in comedy. That said, I think, live music and live comedy and stuff like that isn't going anywhere, and people are always going to want to go see human beings doing stuff. So I worry about that less from the live entertainment perspective. But again, the hard thing will be, do the companies that own whatever you're using to promote your shows, do they suppress that in favor of other stuff?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think I maybe mentioned this to you as well on email, Bob. I did notice when I was talking to old colleagues that a lot of my, former colleagues in physics have started using various AI tools for things, be it Claude to generate some code, or actually a guy that when I was at Harvard, when I was there, a guy who was my colleague, still there. She and I think just used, I forget what tool, maybe Claude, to write a quantum field theory textbook. So that sort of stuff people are definitely using it for. And I can't really comment on how good it is because I don't have a foot in that world much anymore. I have serious ethical concerns about it, but I feel like I can't make much of an intelligent statement about how they're using it. So yeah, I'm concerned to put it mildly, but it's also so, I feel like we're gonna know or understand, things are so in flux right now. I feel like in 5 years we're gonna understand a lot more about what the world looks like in an AI world. But yeah, it's hard to say right now. I actually do want to. A buddy of mine, Adam Becker, wrote a really great book called More Everything Forever, in which he talks extensively about kind of doomers, AI doomers. So people who have concerns about that, I'm going to point you towards Adam's book. Again, More Everything Forever by Adam Becker, which I think has a pretty intelligent and careful, discussion of is it just going to kill us all kind of stuff. So I do want to recommend that one while I'm here.
Well, and so as negative as you feel about AI, I think many of the reasons you feel negatively about it we're in agreement with at Real Good, that a lot of the environmental concerns, a lot of the ethical concerns, that is totally all applicable in our own sort of organizational ethics. And we're trying to solve some of those issues as well. And one of the issues you brought up specifically, the worry that that human-made content might get diffused out by AI-generated content, we're sort of trying to address through what we've called the real rating system, where it's a system of disclosure for bringing back sort of the nuance in how much AI was used and how AI was used in the creation of a piece. Of course, it's sort of a grading scale between 0 and 5, where 0 is you used no AI, didn't consult AI ever, not even like little machine learning tools like captioning or spell check or something like that is getting used. And then 1 is just sort of those little tools like spell check or captioning that are more classification rather than generative AI.
Right.
2 is brainstorming, where you used it in idea generation, but no actual generated content made it to the end. 3 is you put in a little bit of generated content, but it's not central. 4 is you put in some generated content and it is more central. And then 5 is you fully generated it by AI. It's completely
inception
AI content
through completion.
Yeah. And so our hope is that people will adopt this rating system and use it for disclosing how much AI was used in the generation of their product, whether it be music, whether it be lesson plans, whether it be code on a GitHub repository.
Is it quantized or is it just the integers, or is it just, it's just
it's the integers.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right now it's just the integers, and that's for simplicity's sake, right? For accessibility's sake, that you know exactly what a 4 means, what a 2 means, right?
Once you start saying 0.47, it's like, all right, why are you being
exactly
that? Like, how do you say something?
Yeah, and then also you need to come up with criterion for developing the sliding scale, and it gets real difficult. But yeah, so that's our solution at Real Good AI, and we're
very good idea.
Yeah. And so we're trying to promote that this month, try and get that in people's hands, so that people are aware about it, and we can start to open up the conversation to be less about no AI versus yes AI, and more, well, what is a good use of AI? What are acceptable uses of AI? What are how much AI are you actually using when you are making something, that sort of stuff.
It's interesting because, I mean, one of the things, that I experience now, because we hire people to do stuff, is it's not just one person being like, I did this with zero AI. Now, once you start hiring people, you have to make that sure disclosure that from everybody in the tree. Yeah. And I mean, I always think about, we put out an album a couple years ago, Greatest Hits album, and we uploaded the cover to Instagram, and it got tagged made with AI. And I was like, first of all, a couple, like, it was just one little tag thing, but a couple of people noticed it, and I was livid because I was like, we went to a set, we hired a photographer, we hired a costume, like, we did all this stuff. At no point in anything I did was AI used, and I think what it was some Photoshop tool that
that's a killer,
someone used along the way, which was maybe just a little airbrushing thing, had some AI engine in it or something like that, and that is what got picked up. But the fact that it was this binary thing made with AI, like used AI versus didn't use AI, I was quite upset about, because I was like, I don't want anyone to think we used AI to make this thing, because we did the real thing, and then at some point someone was airbrushing something, and because Photoshop incorporates AI into its tools, it got used for that.
Yeah, well, I was
like
sort
the
of
idea of having a gradation. Yeah,
I was going to ask you a question sort of in that vein. Suffice to say, you're not sitting there using Suno to generate the next NSP song, or whatever, but like it sounds like you're pretty conscious about what tools you're using, and what have you noticed in any of the like production stuff that you have been using, or anything new you've been trying to use? Has AI like seeped in, or maybe I don't know, do you have any suspicions? Because that, like you're saying, that's happening with like Photoshop and visual art products. They're literally just like, the settings change quietly in the background, and suddenly something that used to be, a tool that was just like an algorithmic tool now says, and it uses generative AI also,
right.
which you can turn off, but
exactly.
we didn't tell you about that.
100%. For production, I'm not for music production. I'm not producing most of what I do. Like I have a producer for Ninja Sex Party. We work with this guy Jim Roach for Starbomb as well. For Très Magnifique, I work with Commander Miach from Twerp. So these guys are doing like the hard production work. The thing that I'm producing, I do a podcast with Leighton Gray, Late Night with Brian Wecht, and that I am actually producing myself and editing. And I will say I do notice, and even though I am like doing all the audio editing myself for that, I notice in the service we use to record it, there's a lot of like use AI to do this and like produce a transcript and edit out the clicks and blah blah blah. And I don't even use it for that. I do all the audio editing myself, but they really try to push it as like a podcast production tool. I've noticed. But that's for music stuff. I honestly I don't see that end of it too much because I'm not,
Okay.
that's not what I'm doing musically. But 100% this is happening when I my DAW that I use mainly is Logic Pro, and whenever there's a new update, there's a million different and now with AI it can tell you all the chords and I've tried, by the way, putting songs in and being like, tell me the chords, and it always fucks it up. Like it's never
It's wrong.
Yeah.
It's wrong all the time. So because all the stuff I'm writing is like kind of jazz type stuff. It has no idea. It's like
Yeah. Especially the
confidently wrong.
auto drummer is like, no.
Oh, it's really rough. But I was curious, like if you gave it a Don Ellis piece or something, could it tell you what's going on? And the answer is absolutely not. So I see it for that, but only in the, as a service that I try not to use. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's sort of the thing about the real rating too is I think it's good for creatives, for people who are making things, to be able to have a way to be more clear and to not just get flagged as AI content like you're talking about with your Instagram experience. But on the consumer side, we're sort of hopeful that like it could be, you could filter your Instagram by I only want to see 2 or less, or I want to see only 5. I want to see purely generated content. Maybe, I mean, it would be cool too on like music platforms if you could go on Spotify to like never ever play a 5 for me. What?
Yeah.
Or but it's tough getting adoption of that sort of thing is like a big long-term goal.
And as it permeates more and more things, I think achieving a 0 is going to be functionally impossible for anything that has a certain level of complexity, I would guess. If you're using any kind of, let's hope, I think as we've all experienced with things like Google these days, like just totally turning it off is essentially impossible. I mean, you can do it, but then they've tied in so many other features to it that it's like, okay, I'm not going to turn it off. I'm just not going to use it ever. And I do worry, I think what we're seeing is as, people start using it for more and more stuff, it's going to be, it's not quite at the level of I made this without using electricity, but I think it might be something along the lines of I made this without using the internet, which is, increasingly hard to do. So,
Although I will say, Brian, we had this little social media campaign where I was making certain artworks to a dice roll version of the real rating. So I sort of had to match what the dice told me to do. And it told me to make music with a 0. And I make music in Logic Pro too. And I was flabbergasted at how much of the tools in Logic I was still able to use while maintaining a real 0. That
Great.
some of the newer stuff they've put in, like the automatic stuff or the chord detection or all that stuff, is definitely higher than a 0. But I was amazed that sort of the old emulators were actually based on the literal circuitry of
yeah,
the
isn't that cool?
that it's quote unquote white box as opposed to black box, so they know exactly what they're trying to do and use mathematical functions to map it rather than trying to fit it as an AI.
Yeah,
And
I've
so
bought
that's still,
some of those. So like I have the Korg emulator, like the M1 emulator, and some of the other one, like a couple of the Rolands and stuff. And I love that they are just trying to build the thing that they built originally. I think it's awesome.
And so that's sort of my hope for the future, is that there will be a choice, a more conscious choice.
I hope so.
That you can still use technology for sort of this stuff while not in using AI, especially with whatever ethical oppositions one might have to using AI. That you would sort of have a more explicit choice. But that choice does exist, at least in terms of music production. That choice does still exist.
That's good to know. That's quite heartening, actually. I mean, I don't know how much of an expert you are with Logic. I use it for the stuff I use it for, and I'm exploiting 0.1% of its capabilities. Like, I truly don't get under the hood too much. I mostly use it to write and not actually produce. But it's any of those DAWs these days are like these incredible powerhouse
I attempt
tools.
to produce, but I'm definitely not an expert. I'm not trained in it at all.
Yeah, no, it's like, the people who are good at that stuff are magicians.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would love to. It'd be nice to just flick a switch and be like, gray out anything that uses AI, so I know. That would be awesome.
Do you have any fear? I guess going back to using it on the production, whatever, on the side of the people making stuff. Do you have any, I don't know, trepidation or sense of what you think your audience might feel if the next NSP album launched with this is a real zero on it, and even clearly indicating like maybe a 1 if there was some tool or something, some automation, but like clearly indicating we're not using generative AI. This is made by humans. We paid artists to help us make this, all this sort of stuff. Do you feel like just having that on there gives you any pause about it, or would you? I mean, you're not committing to it. No. But would you feel good about that?
I would feel great having a thing on that said this was made totally without generative AI. My fear would be that it would be inaccurate because I didn't understand something, so I would be making a claim that was not strictly true. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that there's some tool that some artist, I would be hesitant to say it unless I could really, really back it up. But I think the audience, I think most of our audience, I'm not going to say 100%, but definitely most of our audience does not want us to be using AI for music or art or anything we do. And, I don't think we've come out publicly and said what I'm saying right now, which is that we don't use it for literally anything. But my sense is that aligns us with most of the fan base. We have a lot of artists and musicians and creators in the fan base who feel, I think correctly, threatened that this type of stuff is, hurting their potential livelihood. And I sympathize with that 100%, and that's why we hire real people to do real stuff. So my concern about, I want to be upfront that we don't use it for anything. If I put a 0 on it, I would need to know that truly it was a 0 and not there's some tool in the background that someone used without knowing it that made it slightly used. So I think 0 is a pretty stark statement. You know what I mean? And this is kind of why I was asking about the gradations, because I don't know, I try to be ethical about these things as you guys are as well. And if I make a claim like that, I'd want to back it up.
Yeah, totally fair.
Screwed that up ourselves in the past.
It's better. Yeah, it seems like very easy to mess up. But I would have no problem saying, and I think it would be probably a good thing to say this was made without generative AI.
Yeah,
because that is what we do. It's what I do. Every project I'm involved in is that, and I think it's increasingly important to say that. It's yeah. I don't know. I see friends every once in a while, like some friend or collaborator will post a look what I just made, and it's some AI bullshit, and I'm just like, my heart dies a little every time, especially when it's someone where I was like, but you made cool shit before. Why are you using that? Like, just I don't know. It's not that it feels like cheating. It's just that it feels like, ethical, environmental concerns aside, it's just like, this isn't good.
Yeah, well, it's, do you, I mean, I imagine I know the answer to this, but do you live with that constant, like, itch in the back of your mind? Everything you look at, you're like, okay, well, but is this real? This is super cool.
100%. Absolutely. And have I, had a friend send me a link that I then passed on to a friend and then found out it was an AI thing? Absolutely. Yeah. I have. We all have at this point. And that sucks. I hate that feeling because I feel complicit in spreading this, what to me feels like kind of a lie. Yeah. So, but to answer your original question, no, I think it would be great to be able to say we made this totally without any AI tools, and that's part of our artistic philosophy. And honestly, this is I think all the people I work with artistically are exactly aligned with me on this. They don't want to use it, no interest in it. They don't use it for anything, even in their personal lives. I will say I have a couple friends. I think no one that anyone would know, so I'm not like, subtweeting anyone here, who won't use it artistically, but use like an LLM to organize their daily lives and stuff like that. So I have a few friends like that, but me and all of my direct collaborators are the same, that we don't use AI for anything in our daily lives. I remember talking to a buddy and told him what I told you guys, which is like, maybe I've typed 5 things into an LLM. And he was like, what? How? How do you do it? I'm like, it's not that hard, dude. You just like, don't do it, So, yeah. But I like the idea of being able to say that definitively.
Yeah, well, it is. I think, and you kind of said this, I think musicians maybe feel it differently than like visual artists or the creatives, because there's an aspect of music that is always live, at least to some extent. Like you're producing stuff, you're publishing stuff, but you can't capture a live show. You can't capture Trey Magnifique's set with recreating it with AI or something on the fly. But
that's right.
It is. I feel like it's hard to be an artist and have artist friends and stuff who are not acutely aware of this. Do you feel like you have any? I don't know. Do you talk to people who are like, not worried about it, or is that sentiment kind of universal?
No, I talk to some people who are like, I'm not worried about it. These people are generally old, and I think the people that I know who are like, I'm not worried about it, or like, but there's just something about human created stuff that you can't duplicate. I don't think that's true necessarily. I think with a sophisticated enough tool, and we're already being fooled. So I think the evidence is already out there. I don't think there's an innate quality of humanness that makes any sense rigorously. So the people I know that are like, you're not worried about it because you'll always be able to tell, I think that's wrong. So yes, I do know some people like that, but I think they're a little naive to not be worried about it, and I think their general claims are kind of specious. But yeah, most people I know there are different levels of worry. I mean, I know a bunch of people who are like, it's going to kill us all level of worried. And then that's relatively rare among my friend group. And there are more people like, it's going to take all our jobs, which is, again, I don't think that's going to be the case, but I think it is a valid fear to have. Yeah, I was talking to a friend recently who used a term that I really liked called AI a decontextualization machine, where it just takes things out of context and, like, you know, that's what an LLM essentially is, right? It's like a predictive text thing. And by the way, I am not an AI expert. I truly don't know what I'm talking about, so don't put any imprimatur of authority in anything I say, and please disagree with me if I say something wrong or silly. But
No, I actually like that a better because there's a popular claim to call LLMs a plagiarism machine, and I've always had issue with that because it's not exact
exactly
replication.
that. No, that's
Yeah,
right.
I like
that's right.
the conceptualization of it as a decontextualization machine.
That's
better.
right. It can put a bunch of words in order, but it doesn't know the context that it's doing that in. You know, it points in a direction, then another direction, and eventually it spits out a sentence or a paragraph or whatever.
The context of that the words it derived from were, right?
That's right, and that's why it's wrong so often. Is it's because it's not considering context. It's just based
And
on
why guardrails don't work, and why,
Right.
yeah.
So I've always liked that framing of it. I've just mentioned that because it was an interesting thing I heard recently. But what about you guys? I mean, among your peer group, like, what's the reaction in general? Like, are people very concerned, mildly concerned, all over the map?
Well, so I think our at least official position is that we think that AI could be a really helpful tool for our daily lives, but the concerns that we've sort of enumerated are getting in the way. And so our hope is to come out with alternative methods and do research into that to come up with AI that don't have a lot of the ethical concerns that are sort of plaguing them right now. So we're trying to sort of shift the landscape so that it's not going to take over the world. It's not going to create this cyberpunk dystopia. It's instead going to achieve symbiosis with us, right? That we find ethical places for it to be applied. The technology itself is much more efficient and interpretable and gives credit to the people in its training data set and all that good stuff. Not so environmentally impactful because it's become more efficient. All that stuff is things that we have goals to achieve. And we're making some steps towards it on the research, but research takes a long time. So I think that's kind of the general sentiment surrounding Real Good AI, what we think the future of AI should look like.
I do have a hope, kind of with the environmental stuff, that the energy demands are so intense. I think we're already seeing this to some extent, that it forces a true boom in renewable energy because you just can't get the energy you need with, fossil fuels, et cetera, et cetera. It would be nice if this really, despite the current political climate, led to a necessary boom of more climate-friendly, energy generation.
Yeah, that would be a good direction for things to go, or even just motivation from the AI companies themselves to try and do the same thing but more efficiently, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Like a lot of people in the AI field are sort of trying to tout that local is the future, right? Trying to get models that are small enough that you don't need a data center. You can just run it on your own local machine and use power on your own machine to run these sort of tasks rather than put it out in a web server somewhere where they can just eat all your data and have to use 12 GPUs all at once to get your your thank you tokens embedded into the
Yeah.
model, right? Like that's another direction that I could see this going that would be positive.
Yeah, for sure.
And it would also be economically beneficial to them in the long run as well, because then they don't have to build these giant stupid data centers, right? Like,
Yeah.
they just
But it would just be nice to feel like the guys running these companies were decent people with everybody's best interests at heart. But
exactly. That would be great.
unfortunately, that does not appear to be the case
Yeah.
at the moment.
Is there anything? I mean, so you're currently not embracing it. You're not really using it day to day. Is there anything about any AI technology or version of the future of it, or anything that you can speak about that like gives you hope, or that maybe there's a future where all our
You would
research
want
comes
to
to
use it?
fruition and suddenly it's what would you
Yeah.
what would you use, or what's your if you had to pick a future that you were optimistic about, I guess.
I am interested. There have been a number of like AI-assisted math results recently, which that seems very, again, everything I say, I can say ethical and environmental concerns, blah blah blah. So let's take that as as given for the moment. But having mathematicians like Terrence Tao and others kind of seemingly go all in on using AI as proof tools, that I do wonder if we're going to see a golden age of like scientific results using AI assists. Very hard to say how that's going to play out right now, but I think it's now a commonplace occurrence to have novel math results that have used AI tools in some way. Matt Schwartz at Harvard did a thing, maybe you guys saw this, where he used, I think it was Claude, to write a quantum field theory paper. And, he had this whole long blog on the Anthropic site about what it was like to produce a paper with essentially an AI operating at the level of what he called, I think, a first year, maybe second year grad student. And it was not a big result or anything. It was kind of a proof of concept. But, I do wonder if there's going to be any kind of interesting results that come out of it that way. But math seems the most maybe promising at the moment. So, I mean, there are these big, like number theory problems, like the Goldbach conjecture and things like that, that maybe, maybe it helps with that. I don't know. But there have been, I think, a few like math AI startups that have been founded recently. And I'm curious what's going to come out of that.
Yeah,
But,
I will admit I haven't looked at the specific text of like the proofs that have come out from the LLMs to solve some of these ancient mathematics problems that nobody has been able to prove.
Yeah.
But my cynical brain also says, did it actually provide a proof, or did it just provide a proof that no one has an argument against yet?
Well, but
right?
this is the specific thing with math. Why I'm talking about it is
Yeah.
the standards of rigor in math are so high that no mathematician would just be like, "Look, it's AI. It's fine." They will use it as a tool and then go back and very rigorously check that the proof works. So what I like about, and this is very different than even theoretical physics, is that the standards of rigor are pretty high in theoretical physics too, but they're not math. Like if you have a math proof that you put out, you better be pretty fucking sure that every single step is ironclad, or your reputation dies. So I think no one would put out a proof if they have any mathematical training or sensibility that is anything but rock solid. And that's the human a big part of the human element there is checking the thing and making sure it totally works. And no self-respecting mathematician would be like, yeah, computer says it's fine, it's cool, publish. Nobody's going to do that. Now there are like computerized proof tool, what's it called, Line, I think, that has this very arcane system for automating proof. And to what extent that uses AI, I don't know. But I know I think Terry Tao is a big proponent of this as well, is like automating the process of mathematical proof. I don't think in every instance, but some people are very into these like computer assisted proofs as well. And there may be, and again, this is something I don't really understand, I think the claim is that if you're using this software properly, the proof is rigorous. But don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. But it would be amazing to get like proofs for these old ass number theory problems or whatever. It'd be cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing that just as an outsider from the mathematics field, a proof is still an argument, right?
Right.
And it's a question of, is the argument ironclad for now, or is it ironclad forever?
That's right. So in math,
know.
it should be ironclad for. I mean, if
it's
not
supposed to be, but
right.
It might not be. It might be
Well,
that
if it's not, there's an
someone
error in
thinks
the
of it
proof.
later. Yes.
No, right. So the problem would not be that someone finds like a better claim or whatever. The problem would be that
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
an error
that
in the proof.
there are logical fallacies in the proof that the AI gave that a human wouldn't make that we have not been able to find yet, or something like that. But of course, that's just tinfoil hatting, looking for a way for it to fail. Right?
Yeah, that doesn't. I think mathematicians are careful enough that the idea of there being a kind of new logical fallacy that people aren't aware of, that I'm not, I don't think there's any proof that it couldn't be the case, but that seems very unlikely to me.
Mm-hmm.
Or said another way, if each step of the proof a mathematician couldn't replicate using known methods, they wouldn't do it. Then it's not a proof by modern mathematical standards. It's just like a different thing. So they need to be able to. Yeah, exactly. Now there are interesting things in math like the axiom of choice and other things where, I think, I don't know what the level of technical knowledge among the viewers of this is, but, mathematics, because of things like Gödel's incompleteness theorem, is not a logically complete framework. Like, you can make mathematical claims famously that are neither true nor false or are unprovable and blah, blah, blah. Like, you can always say things that you can't necessarily prove to be true or false. That is a fact about any logical framework. But no one's gonna. I don't think falling prey to that would be. I don't think mathematicians are gonna fall prey to that specific thing. Yeah. So I agree. It is kind of a tinfoil hat thing to be like, well, maybe there's a secret logical fallacy that they aren't aware of. I don't think they would let it get to the proof stage if there was, if they couldn't say it. But that said, people can always make mistakes. There's certain plenty of examples of proofs out there that are, these very complicated proofs that have been found to have errors in them, and then people go back and they fix them or don't, and this does happen and doesn't happen too infrequently. And I think the hope of mathematicians with AI would be better at maybe catching those logical fallacies than a human would. I think that's probably
that's where my experience with AI comes in, right? Is that the reason why I think this might be possible is because there are, for pretty much every problem I've worked with AI, there are basic fundamental properties of the problem that the AI just simply never understands.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Like if you tell it to cook something, at some point it might tell you to like add an 1/8 cup of glue to your cheese crust
Right.
to give it more
Right.
tackiness or something, like
Yeah.
stuff like that, where it tries to pull things from outside sources that don't really make sense, or make conjectures that don't logically follow. That's the sort of thing that I have an intuition feel that sort of stuff might happen
That's
when you try to
interesting, yeah.
use AI for mathematical proofs, but I have
Yeah.
no proof. It's just a tinfoil hat gut feeling.
Yeah. No, I think that's completely valid. My hope would then be that a human would catch it in the,
Yeah.
the checking stage, which I'm sure, if you read Matt Schwartz's thing, that is precisely what happened is, Claude or whatever was dumping out results and trying to make him happy rather than being careful about it. And when he really dug under the hood, it was complete nonsense until he, pointed it more closely in the right direction. So I think that's from what I understand, a completely real and valid concern.
But I think another way to phrase the question that Bob was asking is, what would need to change about AI for you to start to consider using it, right?
Oh, I mean
Like-
the big one is the environmental impact.
Yeah.
I mean that's the primary one. The like it again, I haven't typed stuff in to LLMs, but if I were to do that now, every time I did that, I would feel like I was personally hurting the planet.
Yeah.
And so that would be the super big one, is we need to figure out a way to not just mitigate, but like, look, I drive a car, I eat meat, I do things that are not carbon neutral all the time. So I'm not saying I would need evidence that it was 100% carbon neutral, but it would need to feel substantially less destructive for me to feel like it was a reasonable ethical choice. I think I'd be a hypocrite if I was like, it has to be, whatever, only good for the planet because I don't live the rest of my life according to those principles. But it would need to be at least at the level of the other stuff, that's a part of daily life. But admittedly, this is where my own knowledge is very, very limited. Like, feels bad. I see a lot of, evidence that it's pretty bad right now. How bad specifically? I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
part
well,
of that
that's
is
part of it.
simply because the narrative has been concealed by the companies that are
That's 100% right.
advertising it, right?
So it's very hard to know.
Yeah.
But that's really the big one. Let's see, what else would need to change? I don't know, for the stuff I would use it for. I mean, that's the biggest one I could think of. Obviously, I'd want to try to figure out how to not take jobs away from people, especially creatives.
Do you think this is maybe too pointed of a hypothetical, but do you think in a future where, assume everyone's happy with it, some serious things have changed about AI and it's it's acceptable to use it, if a company reached out to you, was like, hey, we're trying to license data for this thing where we're generating music, whatever, generate some output, we want to pay you to license whatever hypothetical thing you have rights to. You have some tracks, beats, you have instrument sounds, whatever. Would if it could be attributed and it could be, you get paid a licensing fee, much like how a lot of this stuff actually does work in sort of the current industry, do you feel like that's comparable to licensing your tracks out or some sound you made currently?
No,
or is that different somehow still?
To me, it feels fundamentally different because it feels like I would be training a thing that will then be used to take work away from somebody else. And you can, I think you can probably make that argument for some of the other tools, like Splice or whatever, as well. You know, you get a drum loop where you're taking work away from a drummer. Yes, but this feels to me, that feels
More
like
substantial.
sampling, but the generative thing feels much, much more substantial. So I cannot think of a situation in which I would agree to let my stuff be used for generative AI. Yeah.
I guess inversely, sort of our vision of that too is if we can illuminate the black box, to use our own slogan, if we can find a way to take something and you know, to be able to say, well, this generated artwork is using this picture, this image, this painting, whatever, to this extent, and then artists would have that as sort of a tool to go after these companies and say, well, look, even if you claim you're not stealing my art, clearly this thing is based off of my art. Pay me, right? And which is not the same as agreeing to be in the system. That's clearly a situation where there's no consent ahead of time. But we do feel like that's potentially an important tool, important implementation of sort of our vision of how these AI tools should work.
Yeah, I think people absolutely should be able to seek restitution for work of theirs that was used. I think in practice, unless it's a blatant ripoff, that's functionally hard to do, especially if it's just something that was fed into a model and it's one of millions or billions or whatever pieces of work. Like how I mean, given what I understand, which isn't much, it's not like the, let's say, LLM is using a particular reference for coming up with its things. Half the time it's this giant aggregate of all the stuff that was fed into it using some kind of predictive model. How in practice you say my thing was used for this, unless it's a citation or a specific visual or sonic reference to a specific thing, that seems essentially impractical to me. Maybe it's not, but just like it's hard. I mean, think of the, copyright suits right now for music. Very, very hard to prove. In general, like the burden of proof is very high that someone's copyrighted drum track and this stuff is very interesting and complicated, like what constitutes a song, lyrics, melody, chord changes, beat, whatever. There are plenty of lawsuits about, hey, they stole my beat for this song, and when you listen to it casually, it seems right, but then you really dig into it, you're like, okay. I think given like how complicated that is, and AI isn't even involved in that, once you start talking about these, generative models and everything that gets fed into it, that seems like a very, very hard thing to do.
Well, to sort of peel back the curtain on some of the research we're doing, we actually have someone who's working on that specific project of trying to do data attribution with existing models. Effectively, what they're doing is training a surrogate model that achieves the same prediction as the LLM or the neural network of whatever sort. And the architecture we're using, that is the surrogate, is much more interpretable and literally can give you a mixture of data points as part of its output of what data points it used in creating its output. And so by doing that, we can sort of look at the footprint the example you generated took through the model and use that for data attribution. So it can literally cite its sources from whatever it generates. That's sort of what Bob was alluding to in saying that it's part of our mission. It's something that's like actively a topic of research for us. And so our hope is that surrogate is enough evidence to show that if an analogous model were made for this LLM that does give us that evidence of what is used, what is not used. If that surrogate model is developed, you have that correlation of it's being used super hard by this surrogate model, so it's probably a large influence in the LLM
Yeah, it's a correlative
as well.
thing. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's correlative, it's not causative, but that is relatively strong evidence, I would feel. It's not it's not perfect, but it's a good argument to
Yeah,
start approaching
seems right.
companies with this sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair.
Well, anyway, we are started a little late, and sorry again for the mix-up on the time. I'm
No, I
100% sure that that is on my end, but thank you so much for coming today, Brian.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's great to
Is there
to
anything
talk to
that you
guys.
want to plug? Whatever your most current project is. I know you have a dozen different things going on all at the same time.
Yeah,
but
you're going on tour. And
Going on tour. I mean, that's the big one. Starbomb Tour this fall. Starbomb.com/tour for tickets to that. If anyone's in Vegas, come see me. I have a monthly show at the Virgin Hotel. The Shag Room as Trey Magnifique. It's different Thursdays, one Thursday a month. I'm there. So I drive out from LA, do the show, drive back, have a great time. Free show, just 21 and up. Come out to that. And if you're in LA tonight, come to the Troubadour and see me do a set for opening for Elvis Prestello.
That's
But yeah, and I guess the other thing, because I always forget this, is the podcast, Late Night with Brian Wecht. It's me and Leighton Gray. And yeah, we have a good time. This is year 6 for us, I think.
yeah.
doing
Well,
the
if you're hunting
podcast.
for a deep
Yeah.
cut, I was on
That's an
that
early
podcast
episode, Bob,
in
an early episode.
2021.
Yes, I maybe even 2020, maybe even 2020.
It was pretty
you
early
were-
on. It's quite a while ago
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, well, we'd love to have you back sometime for sure. But yeah, I think you were. You were probably in our first 20 or 30 episodes. I would bet.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, the crazy thing, dude, is that we've probably known each other for. It's over 10 years now, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a long ass time when I think about, like we were talking about leaving academics and stuff. Part of the real fun of doing that is now I have these friends I've made from YouTube and gaming and music and everything, like you, that it's like, oh my god, wait, we've known each other for 15 years now, holy shit. And it doesn't seem possible, but it really feels like I met this whole new amazing community of people, including you guys.
Well, fantastic discussion. Thank you so much for answering our questions and being a good sport.
Yeah, I really
and,
appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, this was
Yeah,
awesome.
happy to do it. This was great, and apologies again for being late. Thank you for bearing with me on that.
No, totally fine. To be respectful of your time, if you need to get out, if you have a heart out for anything, don't worry about hanging out. I'm going to sort of wind the stream down now, which involves plugging a bunch of real good AI stuff. And
Cool. Yeah, I do got it
whatnot,
because I have
so-
this show tonight that I got to
yeah.
prep for and stuff. So I'm going to jump off. But great talking to you guys. Thanks so much for having me on, and thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah,
All right.
good luck. Break a
There you
leg.
go. Bye.
See ya. Alrighty, chat. Well, that was Brian Wecht. If you don't know him from his other works, you should absolutely check them out. You should check out NSP. You should check out Trey Magnifique. Go Banana Go if you have kids.
Starbomb.
Starbomb if you like Game Grumsell, interested in seeing Aaron Hansen rap about Pokemon and stuff, whatever, Zelda things. And check out his shows in Vegas, in the Shag Room. Tonight, if you're in LA, that sounds like it's going to be a very interesting, very good show. I did not know that Coach Beard had a cover band, let alone a very niche, specifically themed cover band. But yeah, thank you so much, Brian, for being here. That's going to be the end of today's stream. But if you want to see another one, tomorrow night there should be a stream with Markiplier Mark. We did not end up going to London. You probably noticed that if you were hoping to see us there. There were all kinds of issues, and it just was not meant to be. The universe really worked against us. But tomorrow night, Friday night, around like 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, there should be a stream with myself and Mark and Mandy. And it's basically going to be what we intended to talk about at South by Southwest London. It should be an interesting look at what Real Good is doing, goals, our vision for the future. If you're interested in what we're doing, it should be a good discussion about Real Good, what we've been up to and what we will be up to in the future. So yeah, tomorrow night it should be on Mark's channel. It'll probably also be on the Real Good channel, and it'll be on all the associated channels. You know how this works. Try and stream everywhere. Also, the Get Real campaign. If you have anything to contribute, if you have one person that you can think of, anything at all that you want to send a letter to, an email, a DM, a text, whatever, and encourage someone to check out the Real rating system and maybe use it in their classroom, business, creative endeavors, whatever they might have going on. We really we're trying to get to 1,000 letters. Apparently we're 1/5 of the way there as of today. I didn't realize it was going that well, but that's progress. But I would love to see that hit 1,000. And again, there's templates, so you don't have to do any hard work. If you feel like, oh, I don't know what to say, all you have to do is find the template that fits the person you're sending it to, and make sure you change it so it doesn't say insert name here, or there's like a placeholder. Put your name in or put their name in. But it's really easy, and when you do it, you get to click the button. You get to add to the counter. So I would recommend that very much indeed. Also, I'm going to be streaming again on Saturday, because Saturday is the Nava Day of Play. Nava, we had Tim. Oh no, this is so rude. Tim and the other guy. Oh man, I had two gentlemen from Nava on a Real Good stream pretty early on, but they it's the voice actors. It's not the union, but it's sort of like a voice actors industry group. They're working on lobbying to get regulations passed in DC. They travel to DC and talk to lawmakers, and they Matt, yeah, Matthew. Damn it, he's gonna. Nobody tell him. Nobody. I remember his last name is Matthew Parham. Is that good? Yeah, sorry, Matt. Anyway, they do good work trying to support voice actors and help defend them from AI encroaching on their industry. And Saturday is their big annual event. I will be streaming Apex Legends alongside some voice actors who are voices in those games. So that should be really cool. It's also the two women who are going to be joining are, one is the voice of Ash and one is the voice of Symmetra, I think. Man, I have not looked at that info in like a week. I should double check that. But and then the gentleman who I think is going to be playing the game with me is the voice of a character that I have never played because I haven't played Apex in a couple of years. But I am going to bone up a little bit, and I'm going to be really good at the game. Way better than Ethan was at when he did this last year. If you haven't seen those clips, it's very funny because he's playing Metal Gear Solid, but he's clearly never played the game before, and the voice actors who are in the game are just like, "Oh, dude, it's a stealth game, right? Oh no!" And he's just like stumbling around. Anyway, sorry, Ethan. But Saturday, that stream will be cool. The event will be going all day. My thing is going to be sort of in the middle of the afternoon. I think it's like 2:15 to 4:15. I don't know. It's in the middle of the afternoon. But the whole event is worth watching. It'll be really cool. You get to see voice actors from some of your favorite games, watching streamers massacre those games live on stream, and then talking about voice acting as a job, as an industry. The cool things they've gotten to do, issues they're facing, all this sort of stuff. Also, next Thursday, we're going to be playing Real Jeopardy. I have to be honest, I only know what that is in theory. Did you put that together, Eric? Is that the
I
thing?
did make that, yes.
Okay, what is that?
It is a Jeopardy game with categories about the real rating. Pretty much literally everything I could squeeze out of my brain about the real rating is in that thing. There are even a few joke categories that are just like about AI loosely, and yeah, you should come see it to know what I'm talking about.
Should be fun. Quiz shows are always fun, especially live on stream, because somebody, and definitely probably me, is going to be made to look quite silly. Almost definitely.
Yeah, my recommendation is make sure you know what the real rating stands for, because that is a question.
The L definitely stands for
Remember
something.
what that L stands for.
It stands for something, and I remember what it is, and I just need a second. Anyway, if you're watching on my Twitch channel, I'm going to raid over to the Real Good channel. Make sure you follow Real Good AI on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and on Twitch. If you follow us, you will get to see Mandy's lovely face talking about what's going on in AI, what we're doing, things that are happening. She posted a video yesterday with her announcing this stream. And she loves Ninja Brian and the Wecht family, so she was very hype about it. So yeah, check out all the socials, but especially
And
follow
we should
Twitch.
have the Roll for Real series going on the socials as well.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see that, because like I know a bit about that, but I have no idea what the production looks like. All I know is I gave you a tripod, and you have been working really hard on it. So I'm excited
which
to
I
see like the
accidentally
final
snapped
product.
and bought a new part for. It's fine.
Breaking my shit.
Yeah.
No, wait,
Moving
did
happens.
the phone thing break, or was it part
Yeah,
of
the phone mount snapped.
Oh, that's
at
fine.
some point,
That's fine.
and I just bought a replacement. They're not.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hopefully a better one, because the old one didn't even fit my phone, because it was
Oh, really?
like old iPhone size, and I have a Pro Max.
That was a really, really old. Anyway, that's
But
fine.
anyway.
That'll be a very cool series. So make sure you follow the socials. I think that's gonna be the end of the stream. I think I covered everything that Mandy put in this very useful little note that I am using this time and not forgetting about, or for some reason thinking I did it when I didn't. We are going to be rating Cadet Liberty today. I'm going to, if Twitch works, here we go. I'm going to start a raid from the Real Good channel over to Cadet Liberty, because the Real Good Regiment is live playing Helldivers 2, and I don't think they have a guest today. Oh no, with Death Captain Tasha and Keith Land. Okay, so yeah, they're just hanging out. Real Good Regiment is a group of volunteers that are helping behind the scenes with projects for Real Good, who are so invested that they started doing this as a way to sort of raise money and support Real Good AI, but then they have also started having guests on the stream, much the same way we do on our streams on the Real Good channel. They had Eric on as a guest and talked to him about his life and times of Eric Bell. But so we're gonna raid over to Cadet Liberty. Thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out. Thank you again to Brian for the time. Sorry that the wires got crossed. I am confident that it probably is my fault, because it usually is, but he showed up, consummate professional, and toughed it out. And I think that was an awesome discussion. But we're out here, chat. Come back tomorrow night, 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern, or thereabouts. Might be a little later for more streaming. But until then, bye.
Bye.